Jose Berrios is starting to become a problem. It was another tough outing for the Blue Jays starter against the Texas Rangers, which has me wondering, could he miss the playoffs altogether? Let's figure out what the Blue Jays can do with their struggling former ace as we get the show rolling today. Oh, the theme just makes me so happy. But wasn't happy yesterday as Jose Berrios got thumped again as the Blue Jays fell to the Texas Rangers. And I know what you're saying. Again, he pitched basically a shutout against the Chicago Cubs the start before this one. And yes, absolutely, accurate, 100%. Still had to grind through that one, though, and it has been too much of the grinding through it for Jose Berrios lately. Looking at the numbers here, since June 15th, Berrios 12 starts, he's 7-3. Okay, we will take that. 63 and 2/3 innings. All right, we're doing the math on that. Boy, we're basically right at 5 innings. It's not fantastic, but okay, that's fine. 17 walks, fine. 50 strikeouts, all right. 4.81 ERA and 11 home runs. And if you look at FIP, it's not like this guy's getting unlucky. And if you look at batting average on balls in play, it's not like this guy's getting unlucky. There isn't a whole lot that you can really hang your hat on with Berrios right now and say, no, it's fine. This will turn around. That is since June 15th, so 2 months now of someone pitching basically at 5 runs a game. That is not. And Toxic, bringing it up in the Twitch chat, his velocity is down, and that's a concern as well. Yesterday, he gives up 6 runs on 10 hits, 2 bombs. Admittedly, one of them just kind of kept going and left. But I mean, that is what home runs do. And just a pair of strikeouts. He hasn't pitched 6 innings in his last 4 starts. And even that game against the Cubs that I talked about, where, yeah, he pitches, I think it was 5 1/3 shutout innings. It was still a battle. He had like 49 pitches in one of the innings in that game. Like he has had to battle through not having his A stuff for a little bit. And now we are at a point now, the Blue Jays entering a really fun matchup against Paul Skeens tonight with a 5-game lead for top spot in the American League East over the Boston Red Sox, and all of a sudden now just 5.5 over the New York Yankees after their sweep over the weekend. But we are looking now at getting this rotation ready for the playoffs, and I think we are at a point now, given again it's been 2 months, I think we are at a point now where we have to start asking, should Jose Berrios make the roster for the postseason? Like, that seems just unfathomable to me that we would be having this conversation. Like, you think back beginning of the year, like, hey, this team's going to be in first place, and we're going to be talking about Jose Berrios not making the roster. That, I wouldn't have believed any parts of that, to be perfectly honest with you, at the beginning of the year. And it's frustrating, because when he is at his best, this guy has ace stuff. We've seen it. We just haven't seen it this season. And we certainly haven't seen it this season consistently enough to rely on it when it comes down to postseason time. Like, it has been too inconsistent. It has been too all over the place. And it's like, the walks, I guess they haven't been there as much as I thought they would, but it still feels like it's a lot of deep counts and a lot of grinded out at bats and not being able to put guys away and all of those frustrations that you would have. And then when the stuff isn't exactly perfect where it needs to be, it's getting hit hard. And it's getting hit quite a bit. So, again, just more and more concerns about what you would do with him. And honestly, even if you were to pitch in a playoff game for the Blue Jays, I don't, if he's starting, and we'll get to the other part of that in a second, but if he's starting, I don't think you're trusting him 3 times through the order, right? So you are at most getting 18 batters out of this guy. And if he's perfect at that, that means he's getting him to the 6th. And odds are that is probably, 18 batters, like 4 innings? 5 max. That's not what you are looking for out of a starting pitcher right now. So I don't think when you look at it, and we'll go over what the postseason rotation could look like in a second, but this is someone who is going to be, if you are putting him in there, I mean, every playoff game is huge, but this is someone who could be starting in like elimination games based on how the rotation may play out. So I don't know if I would trust this guy with my season on the line at this point. He can have electric stuff. Toxic pointing out the velocity is coming down. I don't hate the idea of bringing Berrios out of the bullpen when it comes down to the postseason. I think if you just let him go out there, grip it and rip it for an inning, 2 innings, and have him be bordering on a leverage type of a guy, I think that all of a sudden that velo comes back up and all of a sudden things have a little bit more life to them, and it just gives him a bit more of a dynamic feel and gives the bullpen a little bit more of a dynamic feel as well. Toxic asking as the closer, I don't think I would bring him in for that particular role necessarily. I think you kind of keep it with Hoffman as the ninth inning guy. Varland, I know it got rough yesterday for Varland. That game was kind of out of hand, so I don't think he had the same edge he would if he was coming in a playoff game. So I think you can still have Varland, Dominguez as kind of leverage guys, and Berrios would be a bit more seventh inning for me. And honestly, sixth and seventh inning. You know, like let's say you have Gausman goes 5. And lights out, but it's a 1-run ball game. I know you were joking, but still, this was something I was going to bring up anyway. So, the idea of putting him in the bullpen, let's say Gausman goes 5 really strong innings. It's a 1-run ball game. You bring Berrios in for the 6th and the 7th. You have Varland and Dominguez that you can kind of play with for the 8th, and you have Hoffman excuse me, for the 9th inning. So, like, I don't hate how that plays out. Now, it's very righty heavy. You'd have to throw a lefty in there, and I wish the Blue Jays would have got one more leverage lefty that you would feel fantastic about. But I think I like that one. So if you look at what the playoff rotation would be, as it sits right now, Gausman would be the game 1 starter. We talked about it early in the week. Basically, every start he has against high-level, big teams, big moment games, he shows up in a big-time way. So he has, I think, earned that spot as your number 1. You are hoping that Bieber is effective enough that he can be a number 2. And then, honestly, Scherzer, the way he has pitched and the experience that he has, I have him as your Game 3 starter right now. There were times in the past that you could have just 3 guys, and you would have Gausman go 1-4-7 and roll with it that way. He's old school enough that maybe you could. Teams don't tend to do that anymore, so you would probably need a 4th starter in this particular situation. And right now, I think it's an open competition. Honestly, the one who's pitching the best for that spot is Eric Lauer. That's asking a lot, because again, we're talking about game 4 in the division round, if they get there, but in the division round, that's an elimination game. Regardless of what has happened, you are either playing for your lives or you have a chance to knock the other team out. And if it's the way the season has gone so far for the Blue Jays, that's probably a road game. So that's asking a lot, I think, of Lauer for his first playoff start. One thing I have kind of talked about on different platforms and thinking about it here, I like the idea if you're going to kind of mix it and match it. I think when you look at those 3 guys, and we still have a lot of time to debate this, but when you look at those 3 guys, Bassitt, Berrios, and Lauer, Berrios has the stuff that is the best fit for the bullpen. Now, Lauer's left-handed, and we just talked about how there isn't a ton of leverage out there from the left-handed side, but I feel like Berrios has the stuff that is best suited for the bullpen. Lauer maybe as well. But if you wanted to, for a game 4, have Bassitt go out there, do a trip through the order, maybe 2, to see how it goes, I guess. And then Lauer, flip them around, come in as the lefty, and he does a couple of innings, or a trip through the order, or something along those lines. I think you mix and match it really well. I think Bassitt just has too many pitches to be effective out of the bullpen, where Berrios, he has 1 or 2 that he can really hone in on and just toward home plate. Bassitt doesn't necessarily have those. If he pitched an inning in relief, he might throw all of his pitches once. And that's not necessarily, like, it's a unique strategy, but I think if you put Bassitt out there one time through the order, he is so unique in how he can attack batters, you don't really get that sense. And then, okay, maybe I've got it figured out. Now Lauer comes in, and you have to figure out an entirely new problem. And we've put our lefty-heavy lineup in because we were facing Bassitt to start, and now we have to switch it all around. So I think that there's some mixing and matching that you could do with that, and then put Berrios in the bullpen. I do think that Berrios still has time to change the conversation around this. He has talked about it on radio here in Calgary this week, or last week, I guess now. He has the most to gain and probably the most to lose of any in the Blue Jays roster right now. And I think that has a lot of weight on him. Like, he could very easily, like, of the three guys that we just talked about for the playoff rotation, he should be the clear favorite. Like, he should be better than all of those guys. He just hasn't been. So this is an opportunity for him to work his way back into that. But I could also very easily see a world where he doesn't make the playoff roster. And that was just beyond comprehension to me a little while ago. So a lot on the line for Jose Berrios in the next little while. We also had a chat from Toxic in the Twitch chat right before we hit the we had already hit go live, but before the pre-stream video was done wrapping up. Toxic asking, I'm sure you're going to answer this, but what should the Blue Jays do with the rotation with Bieber coming off the IL? So we talked about what they should do playoff wise. Let's now kind of focus in on what this Blue Jays team could do with the starting rotation with Bieber coming back into the fold. We'll get to that in just a second, but first, help spread the news with Couch Potato Diary. Hit that share button wherever you are consuming this, however you are consuming it, whenever you are consuming it. Hit that share button and go. You have to do more after that, like share the link and all that. But if you could, that would be really, really helpful. We're coming back to the more regular schedule around these parts, which for me means a bit more irregular paycheck. And so hoping to grow a whole lot of this over the next couple of months. And if you guys could spread the word, that would help me out immensely. So the Blue Jays, we talked about what they might have to do playoff wise. What should they do now with potential ace Shane Bieber coming back into the not even back, making his debut with the Blue Jays, coming off of the injured list after what was a very effective run through rehab assignments? I think right now the easy answer is do a 6-man rotation. I think this is one where we on the outside, we can have our thoughts on, oh, just do this. I think you have to talk to all 6 guys. Be like, hey, are you guys comfortable with an extra day's rest right now as we kind of work this thing in? I could see it both ways. We have seen guys in the past, like Hyunjin Ryu, basically turned into Sandy Koufax with an extra day's rest. But there are some other guys who like that routine, like they every 5th day, and this throws them off. And so all of a sudden now they're getting just lit up because nothing is right. And do I even throw right-handed? What's going on? So you have to make sure that everyone is comfortable with it. I think the obvious answer is just a 6-man rotation right now. I think there is also a world, given what we just talked about with Berrios, where all of a sudden it's like, oh man, Jose, sorry to hear about the elbow. It's like, no, I'm fine. No, sorry to hear about the elbow. And Berrios takes a couple weeks off and maybe tries to find that hidden velocity that has escaped him and hidden effectiveness that has escaped him. And Bieber just right in to that spot. The timing doesn't work exactly right with Bieber coming off of the start that he had in Buffalo. I believe that was Friday. Berrios pitched on Sunday, but an extra couple days to let Bieber get ready for a matchup, I think would be a pretty good way of doing it. So honestly, I know like you can't fake injuries and all of that. It's August. These guys have been going for forever. And I think we have seen enough. Like, people get put on the injured list all the time for inflammation. Oh, this guy has inflammation. You know who else does? Every human being on the planet. So you can find inflammation anywhere you want on Jose Berrios. And all right, yeah, 10-day DL, and we'll roll with it there. Toxic with a good question here. Is the 6-man rotation worth it that you get one less bullpen arm? This is where this was one of the fights I had for forever, and I accepted that I lost it. I personally think you should be able to manage a 7-person bullpen. Oh no, we've lost a bullpen arm. Fine. One of the dudes who went out there after it was 10-4 against Texas, they go down. Like, you have guys who are there specifically to pitch right before the backup catcher comes in to pitch in ball games. I think you should be able to manage. I think you should be able to manage a 6-person bullpen. And I get very different, but like video games and stuff like that. But even like I use them just to figure out how do I like all these things set up. And I understand humans and video games different, but I like closer, setup, righty middle reliever, lefty middle reliever, long reliever. That's it. All I need. If the long reliever could be left-handed, that would probably help me out a lot. I have accepted no one's going to do that, and all these teams want as many relief pitchers as they possibly can to be able to mix and match and do all of these things. You should be able to manage a bullpen with one less arm out there. I firmly believe the Blue Jays do not have an entire bullpen of Major League Baseball caliber arms right now. You could send one of them down. So I understand that the modern strategies are all the bullpen arms you can get. Schneider has been amazing at managing the bullpen this year. I think if you give him one less bullet in the chamber to be able to bring in a former Cy Young winner, he should be able to handle that. I'm not mocking the question. I am just mocking the general premise that we needed 10-man bullpens and all that stuff when you had like 2 pinch hitters on the bench. Absolutely hated that when that was happening before they implemented the rules that they did. But as far as the weekend goes, like, you don't love how yesterday went, but you love the battle anyway, right? And we are at a point now where like they're 5 games up and it's August 18th. Like there's time is running out. Not saying that that they can't be caught. They have they have a series with Boston coming up that's going to be rather important down the stretch. But like I think you can take moral victories when you've already won the series. The bats were tremendous again for a couple of games, and even this last one, like they're down 8-1. It feels like they're out of it, but then a couple hard hit balls and a bomb, and all of a sudden they're right back in it. Like this team just does not stop, and I love that about them. So I again, the weekend and overall positive, even though the Yankees gain a game, and the Blue Jays stay 5 games up on the Boston Red Sox. We are going to shift gears in now. So, but if you have anything you want to talk about Blue Jays wise in the chat, you can let me know, and we will bounce back to it. Or if you're watching this after, let me know your thoughts in the comments. We are streaming this one live on a few different platforms. The next live stream is going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Going to be back on here, hopefully talking about a Blue Jays win over Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates.